So let's cover on the quick selection tool. So with the quick selection tool, we said that right here we have the add selection and the subtract selection. So let me click on the lion. You just need to click on where you need to make the selection, and the software automatically selects for you what you need. Then select everything. So right there we have our selection ready. So some few adjustments, then minus the selection to minus the areas that you don't need selected. For example, in here between the legs, you can reduce the size to be able to fit in there. So the software automatically selects for you the areas you don't need. Here between the tail, right there. So if I be able to move this, you see it's made a almost perfect selection. So you can move it to another layer and it looks so clean. So if I can change the background of the image, and you can be able to see how perfect it is. See? So the next tool is the magic wand. So the magic wand is mostly used to select the outer layers. It can be able to automatically select for you. If you can see, it's selected the areas that have the same color. Then after that, we can still choose the select inverse. Now when we select the select inverse, when you right click on the mouse, this is going to help you to change, to invert the selection. Whatever you had selected, select. Now when you select select inverse option, it's going to select that which was not selected, like that way. Now it's only the lion that's been selected together with the shadow, and you can see now it's made a perfect selection. So we can move this to another layer, and you can see even the outline. But then down here we need to make some adjustment to the selection down here. So select that. You can use the option down up here for the subtract selection and deselect everything that we don't need. For example, the shadows right there. Then now we can move. You can see the shadow that has been left behind, and you can see once we move it to another background, if you compare this, the first one that we made and the next one that we have adjusted, there is some difference in the quality of the selection. So that's the use of the magic wand tool. Then we have the crop tool. So this one we use to crop the image, just the normally. You can select on what you need, move the image. For example, I just need the head without the rest. Adjust a bit. Maybe up to there. Then click on there. Now our layer has been left only the selection that we cropped. So that's then we have the perspective crop tool. Now you can with this one, you just make the selection of what you need to crop that way, and then you can adjust a bit using the controls. What do you need? Right there. Then you click on the crop. You can see how we just cropped it. Yeah. So that's the perspective crop tool. Then we have the slice tool. You can just be able to slice through what you need, and it's going to select for you what you need. So let's go back to the other. So we have the eyedropper that is used to sample the colors. For example, right here you can be able to see how the different shading of the lion. You can see some areas are darker than the rest. So this is normally used when you're working with a range of colors. And you see on our color menu here, we have, if you sample, you can be able to see which colors they are available. So that's the eyedropper. Then we have the 3D material. Okay, if you are working with materials for 3D, this is mostly used in that process. Then we have the spot healing brush. So if you have some imperfections maybe on your skin, you can be able to make it perfect. If you see, like, I can make the lion blind using these. Maybe something happened to his eyes. Can use the spot healing brush to do all that. In our next class, we'll do some deeper projects that are going to involve some of these tools, like the spot healing, the healing brush, and the red eye, the patch tool. Okay, for the red eye, if for example I can quickly show you, let me search on Google red eye. An image like this is mostly when the flashing lights of a camera come into contact with the pupil, so you have this effect. You can be able to use Photoshop to correct that imperfection. So I'm going to download the image. Then come open it. So here our red eye effect. If I click on the image, you can see it went back to being perfect. So that's the use of the red eye tool in Photoshop. So let's go back to our lion, correct on the imperfections that we had created. So we have, now the next tool is the brush tool. So the brush tool is used to create different types of effects on a file. So for example, I can be able to increase the size of the brush to something big. If I reduce it, that's how it looks like. So I'm going to choose something like 81, hardness at 0%. If you increase the hardness, it's going to be so hard on the element. So if you reduce it, not so much, you can be able to see. Then we can choose the different types of selection, the different types of brushes. For example, we have the general brush. Still some options. If you choose on that, then do that, everything. Can be able to shade it out, just like painting. Paint it out. You can still use the to shade all of it. I've just increased the size of the brush, so I'm going to collect the changes. Then still under the brush tool, we can still be able to install some new. If you download it from a site called Brusheezy, you're going to get some of those presets, brush tools that are already defined. We'll cover into the details much more. Then we have the clone stamp. Then we have the history brush. If you click on the history brush, right here we still have the history of what we did. You see, everything that we did, it was recorded, and then you can be able to access it. Then we have the eraser tool. This one is for erasing something, like for example, if I can be able to erase on this lion, let me increase the size. Using the eraser tool, you can be able to reduce the size of the mane on its back. That way. There we have it. So erase it. Then you have the paint bucket. This one is used to apply a general color to a document. For example, if I just click on there we have it. Then change on the background. Sometimes people use this to change the background of the image. Now we have a brown lion on a brown background. So we have the background eraser. Can be able to erase the background. You can see now it's being now transparent to everything that we have here. Can be able to just erase everything. Then on that we have the gradient tool that we use to change the gradient of the image. There. Can play along with these different functionalities and see what she'll come up with. You can still, up here we have the different options. Click on there. The different types of gradient options. You can change the color, for example, create blue and white. There we have it. We can change the effect from linear to radio. See, it's making a circle kind of gradient effect. Then we have angled, making different types of angles on this whatever you selected, that way. Then we have the another options here that's called the reflected gradient. Then we have the last one, that's third gradient. There. So we have the different types of color modes. We have the normal, dissolve, behind, darken. We'll cover into details of all these. Now we have the smudge tool. Yeah, so I'm going to skip on these two types of these two tools, the smudge and the dodge tool, and go to the pen tool. So with the pen tool, you can be able to draw some selections, and then under the pen tool, we can convert the point and use this to shape it how we want it. See, let me use another layer and show you how to work with all that. So on our background, let's select on the pen tool, draw a selection maybe. Then we use the convert point tool to shape this out. Click on that, move it around according to how you need to make the selection. That way. We can still use the direct selection tool to move the nodes around, and then readjust using the direct selection. That way. Let me delete it. So under that, we have the different options. We can add and then delete. Then we have the text. The text effects. No, not the text effects, sorry. Like the type tool. This one you can use to add text to a file. Then we can use the move tool to resize and apply the selection. There we can add the different text. Then up here we have the different options. For example, to change the font, we must have first highlight that way. Then you can change the font. You can see it on the background changing to the different options. Let me say Montserrat. There we have it. The different types of fonts. Then under that, we can still open the window for text. Once you click on the Windows panel up here, search on text, paragraphs and style. Then we have this for the characters. For example, let me type. We can reduce the font size up here to maybe 24. Something that is well. Then up down here we can add the styles. Up on this window where we have the different font sizes and different fonts. Maybe let me choose this one on the chiller. We have the regular, the type of the font type, font style. We have the font size, the spacing. We have the color to change the color of the text, but it can be able to change it to something like red, that way. Then we have the bold. Can be able to change the font, how it looks like, italize, all caps, all small caps. Then we have upper script, superscript, sorry. We have the subscript. We can underline or strike through, all that. So that's the font and the text tool. Then we have the direct selection. This one I demonstrated earlier on how to work with it. Then we have the shape tool, different types of shapes. So once you click there, you can be able to draw if it's a rectangle. And then up here we have the different options. We have the shape or the path. We have the fill. For example, let me say I want our rectangle to be the lion color, some brownish color. We have all that. Then if you need to increase the font of the stroke size, we can use this and slide through to the area that we need. Then we can change the color of the font, the stroke, to something like blue. See? Then we can change the stroke style, maybe to dotted line, that way. Then we can draw a rounded rectangle by changing the radius size. Then we have all that. You can draw a square. There we have it, a rounded square. So that's on the rectangle tool. Then let's do the ellipse tool, where we draw the size, a circle maybe, resize it to how you need it, something like that. Then we still have the same options up here. Change the color to something red. Then we have the triangle tool. If you need to draw a triangle, something that has changed over time, where we used to draw triangles using the polygon tool right there. Then we have the polygon tool, where it's different sizes. If you look, the changes have happened. So this one as polygon is for 5 sides. Now let's change to maybe 10 sides. There we have a polygon. Still we have the proportional, the freeform right there. And all that. So you can still change the angle, the font, not the radius, the size of the radius of the corners. Then we have the line tool for drawing the lines. There. Can now move this one to any point we need. Then we have the custom shape tool. So there we have it. Up here we have different types of custom shapes. For example, you have a silhouette of the lion, giraffe. We have for the gazelle or a deer. We have the leaf or the trees. Can draw it right there. There we have it. The custom shapes. So we have the hand tool that we can use to move around our document, to pan through just to how we need it. Then we have the zoom tool. Zoom in. To zoom in to where we need it. We can still zoom out. And choose fit screen. So down here we have the different color options. We have the front foreground. This is the color that's going to be applied on most shapes if you choose that. Then we have for the background. If I choose that, then choose paint bucket, it's going to apply the color on the foreground. So let me select on the layers and choose on the background. It's applied the layer that is on the foreground. So that's all for today. See you in the next class.